All right, here we are with Thursday evening's weather for Weather Geeks Time, 9th day of July, and what a day it was today. Another hot one, in fact, the hottest day of the year, which means it's our hottest day that we've had in almost 8 years. You know, we went 8 years without a temperature over 92. Now we've had 3 in a row. The other big story was isolated but potent shower and thunderstorm activity earlier on this afternoon. I want to talk about what happened in the Niles area earlier on today. Now, a lot of us are saying rain. What rain? 85% of the area didn't see a drop today. But we had some heavy thunderstorms that formed and caused some wind damage in a very localized area in parts of Trumbull County. This is more than likely some sort of a downburst, and because it was so localized, I would probably classify it as a microburst. Well, just a reminder of what that is. It's not a tornado, even though these can cause similar types of damage to a low-end tornado. Basically, a lot of times when a thunderstorm starts to collapse, the wind energy and the momentum of that storm kind of collapsing brings down some strong winds from aloft. That column of strong winds hits the ground, spreads out in all directions. That wind could be strong. And again, sometimes we can see damage that is on par with a low-end EF0 tornado in some of these downbursts. Microbursts, macrobursts, whatever you want to call it. It can mean some business. And again, this was real isolated stuff. These storms pulsed up and then kind of merged, and we had some briefly heavy rain around Youngstown and Hubbard, and then they just sort of vanished. These things collapsed in a hurry, and we have been left with largely dry weather. Now, you know, it's one of those classic cases of the haves and the haves not. One of the common questions I get, of course, in the summer is, hey, Eric, is it going to rain today? That's an almost impossible question to answer in a lot of circumstances like today. In most places, no. Today was a rain-free day, but in some places, a whole lot of rain fell. An inch or two of rain, pretty common, from Howland and northeast side of Warren, right down through the east side of Niles, south of the airport, and down into the McDonald, Churchill area, and we had about a quarter of an inch at the station in Youngstown earlier on. Now, as of this recording, at about 6:30 this evening, we had some dying thunderstorms in western PA, mostly east of I-79. Notice the outflow boundaries, those little skinny green lines emanating away from those thunderstorms. Those are like little mini cold fronts, and sometimes those can spark new storms, uplifting the atmosphere enough to cause new convection to form. We're heading into the time of day now where that becomes a little less likely, but certainly in the afternoons, that can happen, and we saw some of that earlier on today where some outflow boundaries caused new storms to bubble up in Mahoning County. And we've had a great week for outflow boundaries on the radar. Really cool stuff to check out on the radar. Of course, we do need the rain. On Thursdays, we get an update from the drought monitor, and we're now officially in eastern Ohio and western PA in the abnormally dry category. That means we're not in a drought, but we're on our way there. We're heading in that direction if the pattern does not turn wetter in the coming days and weeks. We only registered 1/100th of an inch at the airport today with those heavy storms, just the heavier rain anyway, just to the south of the airport. And so a paltry 0.02, I should say, so far in the month of July at the airport. 94 was the high today, 4 degrees shy of that record set in 1936. So our heat wave is at 5 days and counting. We would be at 7 days and counting if last Saturday it got to 90 instead of 88. We'll make it 6 in a row tomorrow, I think, before thunderstorms return. So at 5 days, this is now our longest heat wave since 1995, when we had 6 in a row. With day 6 of our heat wave coming up tomorrow, it'll match that August 12th to 17th stretch back in 1995. You know, by the way, if we would have squeezed out 8 in a row, if last Saturday had been a little bit warmer, that would have been our longest heat wave since 1953, when we had 10 days in a row of 90-plus temperatures. All right, so the running tally of 90-degree days so far in 2020 is at 8, right at average for any calendar year, and a few shy of last year's total, which was 11. We still have 10 to go to get to the lofty numbers in 2018 and 2012. By the way, the most 90-degree days on record here, 40 in both 1931 and 1943. All right, you may have heard about this. I posted it on social media last evening in case you missed it. There is a comet that's visible to the naked eye right now. Now, not right now as in this evening, but currently in the Earth's position and the Comet's position. You can see this with the naked eye, but you've got to be a real early riser to check this out. Generally an hour to an hour and a half before daybreak is the best time to check this out, so 4:30 to 5:15. Then it gets too light outside to really see it. Now, you need to get away from light pollution, of course. Find the darkest spot in the country you can. Also, a real clear view of the northeast horizon. This is pretty low in the sky, so you want to have a nice clear view of the northeast horizon without a lot of trees in your way, because this won't be real high in the sky. Now, thankfully, well, it's kind of a good news, bad news situation. The good news is this may be visible at a more favorable time for most people next week, and that would be in the evening. The bad news is it's notoriously hard to predict how long comets will stick together and stay together and stay large enough to be visible. So if this thing holds together, we may be able to see this in the evening sky next week. All right, our thunderstorm activity today was very isolated. I'm expecting things to become more widespread tomorrow because we do have a front heading our way, definitely more of a trigger for the atmosphere to get some lifting and some instability, and showers and storms become likely before the afternoon is through. Now, in the wake of this front, now it's not exactly a fall-like air mass, but it will be cooler Saturday, thanks to clouds for a good chunk of the day, and even some showers, especially morning and midday. These may become a little less numerous as we go through the afternoon, but at least for the first half of the day, and maybe even an hour or two into the afternoon, some showers will likely be around. A somewhat less humid day coming up on Sunday, although temperatures may have a chance to warm into the seasonable lower 80s. This next little disturbance, a trough of low pressure, if you will, might spark up a shower or storm before Sunday is through. So 80, that's it on Saturday. Almost 15 degrees cooler on Saturday. And then 83 is our forecast high for Sunday. Big heat dome centered over the southwestern U.S. over the weekend will start migrating east as we go through next week. We've been talking about this for a couple of days now, and even though some of the modeling is not as hot today for late next week as it was yesterday, it still looks like a pretty hot pattern second half of next week. So I have 90s back in the forecast for next week, starting on Wednesday, and those 90s might very well stick around through next weekend. All right, so I'll have more coming up, of course, on social media, the Storm Tracker 21 app, and WFMJ.com/weather. Lots of resources for you to get the Valley's most in-depth forecasts, the best forecasts, the most accurate forecasts, and we'll do weather for Weather Geeks again coming up on Friday evening. I'll see you then.